All right, my watch says 10:01. I think that's fair. We gave everyone a chance. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this special event hosted by Top Producer. First off, thank you for joining. Looks like we got about the attendance is growing, which is awesome. So a bunch of you decided to spend some time with us today. We appreciate it. I'm really excited about this topic. It's something new. But I think it's really important. And so a couple of things I want to do really quickly, just do a quick introduction. We'll go around. So it's not just me today. We have some special guests. So I'll do a quick introduction myself. If you guys don't know, my name is Keith Hawken. I'm the Senior Director of Sales at Top Producer. Been with Top Producer actually coming up 22 years. So been here a long time.
Wow, did not know that, Keith.
Yes, 22 years. So long
That's
time.
Fantastic.
I guarantee you there's going to be some people on this webinar that have been customers longer than I've been at Top Producer though. So I'm sure there's a few people here that probably were from the floppy disk days, which is great. But I'm super excited. Got some special guests. So let me just do a quick introduction. We got Robert Reardon, who's the GM of SmartZip. And we also have Kelly Shannon, who is another member of the SmartZip team. Thank you, Robert and Kelly, for joining today.
Yeah, thanks for hosting. We're excited.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, so look, the nice thing for us is that we get to leverage their expertise. So if you guys don't know, SmartZip is a, data company. They also have a huge role in helping agents farm effectively, market themselves effectively, and grow their business. So I'm super excited to have them join us today and participate. So thanks for joining, gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks again.
All right. So a couple of things really quickly. If you have a question, this is a open session. Type it in the chat. We will try to answer as many questions as possible. And again, for those of you who just joined, this webinar will be recorded and it will be sent out afterwards. So if you forget something or not sure what we talked about, you'll have a chance to go back and replay it. So that being said, let's get started. So topic today, real estate farming 101, the strategies, ideas, and tools. So let's kind of start off with just, if we call the session 101, we got to have a little 101, right? And, honestly, the real thing for me is I think farming is one of those things that doesn't get enough love in real estate. I think it's one of those areas that can really be effective if done correctly. And that's what we're going to teach you today. How do you do this correctly? And really what farming is a focused marketing strategy on a specific area that really positions you, your brand, your value over time to a real targeted group of homeowners. Would you agree with that, Robert?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's narrowing in on a specific geography and planting your brand as seeds so that you can cultivate those relationships and help grow your business over the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. I just, I moved about a year ago into a brand new city, new neighborhood. And I didn't use a local realtor. We had a realtor from our old area, about an hour and a half out. He helped us. But what was interesting is there's one realtor where I've been here a year where he's top of mind to me in Chilliwack, where I live, right? And he farms, right? And it's the only one that's doing it, and it's consistent. So.
And how is he doing that, Keith?
Direct mail.
Direct mail, right?
Yep.
Right on.
Yep.
Tried and true.
Tried and true. So, and the fact that I'm talking about it tells you that it works, right?
Exactly.
So, absolutely. The one thing with farming though, I think is I think you have to have a strategy behind this, right? And it is a commitment. I would say I wouldn't be talking about that realtor right now if that realtor wasn't consistent with their efforts, right? Because it's not one touch, two touches, three touches, it's multiple touches, right? And I think one thing that if any of you guys watching today, and we're going to talk about this, but you have to be consistent, right? This is a start and don't stop strategy in my mind.
Yeah, and it's super critical because oftentimes these folks won't be in market in that current month that you're introducing the brand for the first time. It takes a multi-month approach to build that relationship so that when they do make that decision to go to market, list their home for sale, you're top of mind as you described.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay, hold on. I apologize. I got to pause here for a minute. Someone said the chat feature's turned off. Well, that might be why no one was chatting. Give me a minute here. Okay, there we go. I was wondering why no one was chatting when I said, where is everyone joining from? Can someone type in the chat now?
There we go.
Sorry, we muted all of our attendees by accident.
I thought
All
it was
right.
because they got to know you over 22 years.
I was wondering, I was like, oh, it's Keith again. So thank you somebody for mentioning that. All right, look at this. We got California in the house, Michigan, Georgia. All right, that's better. I was wondering what was going on. So awesome. Thanks everyone. I apologize for that. Okay, let's get back to the content here. I feel better now.
Me too.
Yeah, so I was wondering. So I think one of the first tips that I think I would say is, look, if you're gonna get into farming, or if you're doing farming today, be consistent, and then also diversify your channels, right? Like I don't think you can just do one thing. Like I do think you need to have a multi-pronged approach to farming. That isn't, and what I mean by that, it could be, don't send the same postcard 12 times, right? Rotate through some series, maybe introduce additional types of material, do online, do door knocking. Like you really need to kind of really strategize. So would you agree with that, Robert and Kelly?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think it's because, our attention span has been shortened so dramatically. We're jumping across channels, whether it's social media, email, text, direct mail, that it's super important to have that, multi-channel marketing automation firing and helping you grow your business. Kelly, anything to add there?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, all of those things, like you said, with regards to being consistent. I mean, the direct mail is seen as one of the most tried and true methods. It's still a popular thing. It's something physical in your hand that you can touch, you can feel, that you can keep around, put on your fridge, and it's kind of there just, getting those touches. But you have to blend it in. We're in a different age and technology with the internet, social media, all of these different things. So that is something you can't really avoid. You still have to have that online presence, try to get them in those mediums as well, because that's where so many people are spending their time, is like this, looking at their phone or on the computer like we're at now. So if we can get to those people in those places as well, you're just going to have that increased branding and those additional touches, to kind of get
Kelly,
that sale.
it's so funny that you mentioned on the refrigerator. I actually have a postcard right now from a real estate agent, actually a loan originator, of a chili recipe, right? So it wasn't asking for business right away, but I like the recipe enough, and just the messaging, that now it's on my refrigerator, and I'm going to try out the recipe this weekend.
Whether or not you even really pay attention to it, her little picture's down in that corner that you see every time in that name. So when you do see your park bench and you get that next letter or something else, it's not unfamiliar.
It's funny you mentioned that. Very timely.
I love the relationship between loan origination and chili. It works out. All right. I think the other one too, and I think this is like so consistency. Look, I think it's important in anything you do. Like it doesn't matter if we're talking about farming. Like if you're going to have a strategy in your business, you have to execute it, right? And I think that's just a lesson that all of you should apply. Like if I look at even like top producers, like look, a majority of you guys use top producer to help you with your follow-up. Maybe you're not using top producer, right? But you have to be consistent in your follow-up, right? It's kind of something that has to apply to your business at all. So another one that I think is really important, and I've had a lot, and this is where I think like we were really excited to talk to Robert and Kelly about is, it's finding the perfect place to plant your seeds, right? I'm going to say that not all neighborhoods are created equally, not all geographies are created equally. And I think there's some things that you need to consider before you go and decide to plant. Robert, you said it best: plant your seeds a little bit, right? Like where you're really going to try and focus on. So first off, I think turnover rate. I think this is like a pretty leading metric that an agent should understand before they go and invest marketing dollars and their time into an area, right, Robert?
Yeah, it's critical. To growing your transaction volume. If you're going to make a significant investment into, OpEx and sales and marketing, you want to make sure that you're getting the biggest bang for your dollars, right? You don't want to necessarily focus on a geographic area that has, below the national average of 5 or 6%. We recommend at least 7 or 8, just to make sure that you're giving yourself enough at bats to capture those transactions and grow your gross commission income.
Yeah, I love that idea. Like it's important that you're, putting your product in front of people who are interested in your product, right?
Otherwise, you're wasting your hard-earned dollars.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, right? About, some of some of the ways that you can be inefficient in this, right? And so we'll talk about that a little bit. I think obviously average sale price, look, we saw that there's people from Oklahoma, Georgia, Florida, Michigan, like all over the country. look, every one of you have different metrics when it comes to sales price, but I think you're gonna have to find a neighborhood that has that sale price that makes sense for, an ROI calculation.
Yeah, I think it's all about being data driven in your approach.
Yeah, I agree. Farm size. I mean, I don't know if farm size matters as a leading metric, but I do think you have to have you do need to start with a budget, right? And then from there, you kind of determine what makes sense from a farm size.
Yeah, Kelly, what do you think on this? You've been a real estate agent for quite some time, and
Yeah.
obviously, yeah. What can you speak about farm size and what you recommend?
So of course, like you mentioned, budgets can be a big factor. You can only spend kind of so much as what you have. There's, evidence top producing agents, spend 10%, sometimes more of their commission back into their marketing, and trying to get new business. So that's kind of just a rough number that I know a lot of agents will use, like, okay, what did I make last year? And kind of use that as a rough number, spread it across multiple avenues, obviously of marketing. So then, when it comes to the lead gen and it comes to the farming, obviously you need to take that into account. A lot of the agents that I work with, obviously, like you mentioned, I've been an agent myself. And now I'm helping brokers and teams get more listings, kind of leveraging data and technology to find these sellers, right? So a lot of people, I think, if you're an individual agent, you're just starting and you target your farm, it might be around 500 people. Brokers and teams, if you're feeding multiple people and you kind of have a split and type situation, I say at least 1,000. But it's going to depend on the data in your market, in your territory. Specifically, when you try to identify those sellers and match the characteristics, that all factors into it. So it's a very unique situation for every individual, I'd say.
Yeah, great points.
No, I agree with you on that one. And again, I think again, it comes back to what's your goal,
Right.
Yeah.
right?
But not just, yeah. So yeah, sorry, I don't mean to interject either,
Yeah.
but not just that also, but if you choose a farm size that's a little bit too large for you, you may not be able to get those consistent touches on everybody as much as you need to. There's that old sales adage, takes 7 to 10 touches to get the sale, right? I think it's the same in real estate. We're still selling a product, we're branding ourselves. So you need to make sure if you choose 1,000-person home that you can still get in front of them with a piece of mail every month, with those online ads, enough impressions that you're branding themselves. So
what you're saying, if you stretch the audience too far, then you might not have enough budget to support a full year campaign, right? So you want to really, yeah, that's a great point. Okay.
Yeah. So again, it's just working within your restraints and making sure that you're kind of matching everything up.
I agree with you. The last one, look, competition, look, everyone on this call, some of you could be in competition with each other, right? I mean, competition's there, right? The one thing I would say with competition is what makes you different than the next agent, right? And making sure that that's coming out in your marketing, right? What's the value, right? Why should they potentially consider you as, a listing agent? And I think that's just really important. Don't just send the same message that everyone else is sending. You need to stand out in the crowd.
Especially today, right? I think
Yeah.
last year was a record year for number of active licenses across the country. Depending on where you look, it's between like 1.5 and 2 million active real estate agents. So to your point, you have to really differentiate yourself, your messaging, your value proposition, and also the tools that you use to engage with owners.
Agreed. All right, that's the first one. Another one I think that's really important. So it's one thing to say, okay, we got a good turnover, we got good sale price, we've got, all these things are make, but also knowing who your audience is, right? And researching, like, I'll give you an example. I live in a neighborhood that's full of young families, right? And it seems like young families seem to be the ones that are coming into this neighborhood, right? But that's going to differ so understanding the demographic, you need to spend some time researching the demographics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of who are those people that own those homes? Do they live there? Right? Like there's probably all types of metrics, and Robert, we'll talk about that a little bit here when we talk about data. But I think just understanding, like, don't go in blind. Do the research before you go in and do this.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and then again, in niche marketing, look, I'm a golfer. If you want to get my attention, just put a golf course on a postcard and put it in my mailbox. I will look at it.
That's
right?
great.
Right. And Robert, you live in Florida. I'm pretty sure there's a high percentage of people that are golfers in Florida. I'm just using that as an example, but niche marketing, I think.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. Hey, one of the questions that came out, Robert, and this is just for, for everyone, where would you do the research for a potential farm? Like, where could you find out, some of these data, some of this data?
Well, obviously smartzip.com, we can help you.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a
yeah.
minute, but
Yeah. I guess you could potentially do it manually by going to public records. But it's kind of a cumbersome process to comb through all of the data. It's kind of across disparate systems. So it actually is a tremendous amount of work if you want to do it yourself. But it's much easier if you use a kind of a technology solution.
no, absolutely. And we're going to talk about how we can help you with this. So, and Walter just asked, is this webinar being recorded, Walter? Yes, it is. So recording will be sent out after. Okay. We talked about this too a little bit. I think you have to have a multi-channel plan. I don't think you can just put all your eggs in one basket. I think you really need, and that's the old adage in marketing, right? You really need to have a multifaceted approach so that you can reach them where they are, right? Whether that be, the young millennials on their phones or, the older generation that maybe is not, right? And having that approach, I think, is really important to maximize your return.
Yeah, and it impresses the homeowner, right? They see you following them around the internet because you're retargeting them with digital ads. You're getting print campaigns in the mailbox. It gives the impression that you're part of this robust, big organization, and it certainly helps, win new business.
No, absolutely. So, and when we say about diversification, don't just put all your all your eggs in the online basket. Like, we talk about direct mail, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it here in a little bit when we talk about, how can we help, you guys here do this. So, I think it's something just to be aware of. Be consistent. Do some research on the area you're going after, and diversify. Right. There was another question here. Someone said, "Hey, do you have the data for Canada?" Unfortunately, not. Canada is, I'm just going to be on, I'm going to, as someone who lives in Canada, there's not a lot of public information about people available, unlike our friends to the south. Robert, would that be right?
Yeah, sorry, I just got a message that my replies aren't going to the.
Yeah, you just got to change the drop down there where it says host
Okay.
and panelists. Just change it to everyone.
Got it. Yeah, unfortunately, we're not available in Canada just because there's no kind of public record system like we have here in the US that we can easily grab data from.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Okay, last really quick point before we get into some more stuff here. The other thing too is once you do generate that opportunity, from that farm. So you're doing your farming, you get some opportunities that come your way. We talk about consistency. Make sure that you have a plan. Like, okay, I had a plan to acquire that person and start a relationship with that person, but now what's my plan to actually convert them, right? And I think you need to make sure you have a system in place that's very specific to, a farm homeowner, like that's in your farm area, that has the right amount of touches, providing the right amount of information, and simplifies it. And the great news for all of you, look, I'm assuming majority of you here are top producer users. You have that system there. Just make sure you have the plan inside that system. Okay. So got some other great news I want to talk about. So the first thing that this might be news for all of you. We've kind of done a little bit of a soft launch. So one of the reasons that we wanted to bring Robert and Kelly here is we're super excited. So Top Producer is super excited that we have launched a new product in partnership with SmartZip called Smart Targeting. And what it's going to do, it's going to help you do all the things that we just talked about. So if you just want the easy button, the easy button for a farming solution that actually is going to help you build a pipeline of listings, we have it for you. And we're super excited to do this. And we're going to go through a little bit of what this means for you and some of the ways that this is going to help you get the most out of your farming efforts. So a couple things first off, I think I'm going to go through is we talked about defining your farm, and someone asked, how do you do the research? So maybe Robert, why don't you just talk about this? So one of the first things that Smart Targeting is going to help you do is it uses big data to help you zero in on who is likely to sell in a certain neighborhood in the next 12 months. And maybe Robert, you want to give it a little bit, look, this is your data, and maybe you can kind of speak to it a little bit. But I think the best way to explain this, instead of just looking at a farm and say, hey, there's 1,000 homes in this neighborhood, and you could do that, but we talked about this, very inefficient, right?
And expensive.
And expensive, right? And you're going to waste a lot of money. Or What if we could just tell you that in that neighborhood of 1,000 homes, these 250 are likely to list in the next 12 months? That's what we're talking
It
about
almost
here.
sounds too good to be true. And I love that we have this product and that we help agents grow their listing business. So maybe it's helpful if I give a little context on
Yeah.
SmartZip. So,
Yeah, please do.
we were founded back in 2009. Our initial investors were NAR and Intel Capital. And since then, we've really had one goal, and it's to help real estate agents get more listings. And we do that by leveraging big data and predictive analytics. So there's kind of three legs to the data stool, if you will, right? So the first layer is kind of, from the public records is the tax assessor file. So we have 110 million properties in a database. We then layer on a lot of demographic information on the homeowner, right? So we know what their property looks like. We know when it was originally bought. We know all of the transfers. We know all of the kind of the recordings, right? So the next leg of the stool is the recorded documents at the municipality level. So we know, whether they've taken out a refi loan. We know when the deed is transferred. We know if there's a lien against the property. So, we have public records. We have the tax assessor file. We have all of the documents that get recorded, and then we layer in all of the listing activity that gets recorded by the MLS. So what we do is we take all of that data and we say, okay, these recent transactions that sold, we look for common attributes among the kind of the neighborhood to surface similar properties, whether it's specific information about the property or the homeowner specifically, to identify which home is most likely to sell over the next 12 months. So typically what we do is we can shrink an average farm down to focus only on the top 20% that are most likely to transact. And there's a bunch of different reasons that they would be likely to transact. They could be the duration of the homeowner, right? If they've been in the house for more than 10 years, they're more likely to transact than someone that just traded the property. If they have a lien against the house, or some other kind of signal that there's a distressed scenario going on, whether it's been pre-foreclosure, they might be more likely to sell. Whether they have equity buildup, whether the age of the homeowner, if they're going through that kind of life, that period in their life when they might be more likely to downsize and list their home for sale and go into a smaller property. So there's a lot of different signals that we can kind of suss out from using our analytics.
Yeah, Bob, don't forget too, we factor in credit card purchase history into these algorithms specific to the homeowner, as well as Google search history. So if they're Googling homes in Florida, like so many people seem to be doing, and they're spending a bunch of money at Home Depot, they're fixing it up, they're likely going to go up to the top of the list. But we're looking at 2,000 different attributes, over 25 data sources, public and private, to help identify these people. And it's refreshed monthly. So it's constantly updating and evolving as your target farm will. So that, every month you're marketing those top most off likely sellers. And, really what we're doing is we're looking at your specific area or target farm, your zip code, and we're painting a picture. What did a seller look like in that picture last year? What kind of attributes specifically did they have? And then we're gonna, see who still fits that picture that lives there and still off market, and identify sellers for you. So seems complex. It's not that crazy, but it's a really powerful tool.
Kevin has a question. How are you able to see credit card transactions? That's a great question, Kevin. We acquire a lot of different data sets each month. On an ongoing basis, it gets refreshed. And we do a lot of sophisticated triangulation, both against the property address and then the name of the property owner, and then the contact information that we have. Oftentimes, about 60% of the time, we'll have an email or phone. So those are kind of key data points that if you have, you can triangulate data and kind of coalesce files. It's very sophisticated. We have a data science team of 10 engineers that all they do is work on this stuff, the black magic, if you will.
Yeah. The one thing I like about this is look, the signals are there, right? You guys are just prioritizing the ones that actually lead to someone putting their home on the market, right? I look at my own, right? Like I hate to say it, I'm like literally like the consumer that has follows this pattern, right? I've bought my first house, 7 years later, sold, bought, 7 years later, sold, bought. Right? Like that is like my journey, right?
You
And
were,
it's
you
just
were, you were likely highly scored in our system.
I would have been, yeah, exactly, right. And so it's just interesting to think about, Mario asked, what is the cost of this? Mario, you'll need to set up a consultation call with one of the members, but it's priced based on the size of the farm and the marketing that you want to do to that farm. So it's kind of all those things factor into determining costs. So the first thing is, look, I think the way I look at this, like I love this is, look, all you guys online right now, you can't go to Facebook and say, hey, I only want to put my brand and my value in front of people who are likely to sell their home right now. With this, you can. And that is a way more efficient way of maximizing your marketing dollars.
And it definitely gives you an edge against the competition, right? So with so many agents,
100%.
you really have to have a sophisticated process in place if you want to succeed as a listing agent. It's absolutely critical.
Yeah. So the first part is, so I think the first part of the smart targeting solution is, hey, we're going to give you the data and we're going to help you focus in on the right people that are likely to list their home this year. I think that is a huge part of this. And it's going to help you guys get more for your money, like a better ROI on your money. The next part though is, hey, we talked about consistency, multi-channel. We're going to do that for you as well, right? So we're going to run online ads targeted at those potential sellers. We're going to do email marketing, do direct mail over the course of, being consistent in all those things, handwritten letters from the realtor, to put your brand and your face in front of them consistently while we know they're in that potential window of potentially listing, right? And I think that's something else, like, again, I kind of come back, you want the easy button. There's no better way. It's like, okay, here you go. And you guys do it all, we do it all for them. Anything you want to add on that?
No, I think you nailed it. Maybe one point is, we have a very robust library of creative assets for you to pull from. Some of them are seasonal based, others are specific to certain market dynamics, so that you're really introducing your brand with the right message to the right person at the right time.
Yeah. And high quality, so you're talking about, like the postcards. I'll hold one up here. It's kind of an example, high gloss, 120 card stock. There's over 500 of these templates. So you can upload and customize your own images easily, or you could choose from our marketing. And at the end of the day, the way I like to describe it too is that I think we're all in real estate because it's a relationship business. The opportunity that provides, there's no real ceiling. Marketing is one of those unnecessary evils. It's part of the business. You have to brand yourself. You have to get out there in front of people. But it takes a lot of time if you're not doing it the right way, or if you're downloading a list from somewhere, you have to create the content to provide that content to a third-party provider. Like I said, I did this, doing acquisitions for private equity funds and single-family real estate trusts. I'd be up until 3 a.m. scrubbing lists, getting rid of duplicates, trying to eliminate or find the absentee owners versus the homeowner, and very exhausting. Where this is all kind of in one place and helps you be consistent.
Yeah, if you unpack all of the individual components that we provide, to your point, like the data, the scrubbing, the creating of the the artwork and the content, spinning up the campaigns, like that's really a team of 2 to 3 separate people that are, some of them would be part-time roles, but you're looking at like $7,500 per month if you wanted to bring that in-house and do it yourself. So there's a tremendous value on leveraging a technology solution as like a end-to-end or one-stop shop.
Saying you may not have to hire that virtual assistant you've been thinking about.
Yeah. I think, again, if it's one of those things where, again, if you just want to, if this is something that is, look, the market's changing, right? And I think it's gonna be really important that right now that we get our brand in front of those, potential sellers and do it in a way that, again, to your point, efficiently, right? Like I think we always have to look at those things, and if you do it efficiently, you're going to be able to generate positive ROI and grow your business. So the other part too is look, as part of this platform, you're going to get all the tools and tech tools that you need to ultimately convert those opportunities into hopefully listings for yourself and transactions, right? So all of this stuff points to landing pages that adds a lot of value for these homeowners, where they can go in and view some information around their neighborhood and things like that, to convert them as opportunities for yourself. But then also, once they do, help you ultimately convert those into sales, right? So again, it's the full package, right, from start to finish, that is included in this new smart targeting solution.
Yeah, Kelly, do you want to just talk a little bit about how what the consumer experience is like?
Yeah, and I was actually going to touch base too on that landing page, which I think is kind of a really important topic. All of these things, like Robert mentioned, 2009, we've been established. There's a lot of money, a lot of thought put into this company, and just everything up front. But the call to action is really unique as well, where a lot of times people send out a postcard or a letter and they just say, hey, call now, email today, get this. We link it to a unique landing page and URL where there's a lot of QR codes. There's a lot of tech kind of built into that, where they can go, they can get their estimated home value, see neighborhood comps and trends and things like that, where it's also lead capture. So you get notified this individual responded to your marketing. So not only did we identify them on a list, they're more likely to sell. Now they're engaging specifically with your marketing. They might reach out, have questions about their home. And, long-term farming is about getting in front of these people early. NAR, I think, said last year, 75% of sellers listed with the first person they spoke with, the first agent. Yeah. So that's like exactly what we're doing here, trying to get in front of them early, kind of brand them with those touches. And then, you build a relationship, nurture the lead. It really helps grow the pipeline over time. Yeah. And then, from the user experience, as far as, agents and brokers who sign up and kind of manage their smart.
I was meaning the homeowner, which you just described.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
Yeah. Yeah,
but to that effect as well, for agents that use us, the platform could not be simpler. For sending out your direct mail, managing the online ads, there's a calendar. You can approve it 6 months or a year in advance, and the marketing's going out on your behalf. You're just managing leads as they come in, as they engage into marketing. So kind of both ends, I think, are pretty seamless.
Yeah. Nancy has a question. Are landing pages free? Yes, Nancy, they are a part of the solution offering, and you get, Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, four
unique landing pages. One is 7 seller tips, which applicable in some market, not so much today's market with the way that sellers, how quickly they're selling their properties. There's a name your selling price tool that's great if you're trying to figure out a home value for investors, things of that nature. Then also smart home price, where we give them the value of their home, neighborhood comps and things of that nature. And that's probably the most popular one. But you can take all of those and put them on your signature bar.
Yeah, and they're highly customizable, so you can create a subdomain. So like an example would be nancy.7sellertips.com. And you can match it with your branding. So colors, fonts. If you want to get really sophisticated, you could add custom HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for the tech nerds out there. But it is a kind of a critical piece to the solution, is driving traffic to those lead capture pages.
Yeah, and as people, they'll take those, they'll create content, put it on their social media. Like I said, this email signature bar. So now every time somebody goes and checks their values and things of that nature, you get notified. You get that little push alert so you can reach out. And one other really interesting thing that we didn't really touch on this is, obviously we're identifying people in your outside of your sphere, that you don't know about right now that are likely to sell. You want to grow your business. But this is an exceptional tool where you can put your own sphere of influence, previous buyers, previous sellers, people in your church group, your softball team, who knows? If you want to stay top of mind with those individuals, which you absolutely should, throw them into an online ad campaign, just give us a name and an email address, and we'll make sure they're seeing your online ads. We'll rank your list of people as well. There's opportunities to go in there and rank your actual sphere of influence. So I know there was a stat, 80% of people, who sold last year also said they would use the same agent, but only about 20% did. It's because it's not staying on top of mind. So it's a really powerful tool for managing your current sphere and then looking outside of that to grow that sphere. So it kind of helps you both.
No, valid. And that's why we're so excited about the partnership at Top Producer, because that's our model, right? And that's what we're all about, is helping agents stay, in touch and stay relevant throughout the whole journey across all, whether it be leads, past clients, friends, family, right? So you got to have a strategy for that. Now this is super exciting. I think the other part here, and actually there was a question I was going to ask you, Robert, and I forgot to ask it earlier on. When you think about, obviously we have this awesome solution called Smart Targeting, which kind of its goal is to lead to success, right? Why do you think when you think about all the data and the stuff that you've seen over your years at Smart Zip, what makes an agent successful or not successful with farming in general? Like, what do you see as the differentiating, kind of activity or thing that kind of says, hey, an agent really crushed it here, and this is why, versus someone who maybe didn't get the results they were expecting?
Yeah, I think quickly the two things that I think of are making sure that you're leveraging all of the individual components, because it is a very sophisticated kind of customer acquisition as a service, right? So there's the direct mail, there's the online ad campaigns. It's making sure that you're leveraging all of the individual landing pages. making sure that, as Kelly pointed out, uploading your sphere of influence, letting us score, and then building an audience out of that. So I think the most success comes when you're leveraging all of the individual components. You might as well, you're paying for them. And then also just putting in the extra effort, right? If someone is scanning the QR codes on the postcards, and then going to your lead capture pages, there's a reason for that. They're engaging for some reason. So put in the extra effort, do a door knock, hi, I'm Robert Reardon. I'm a local real estate expert. I just wanted to make sure that you got the home value trend, that the comparable market report, introducing yourself, just putting in the extra effort really separates, the great agents from the good ones.
Yeah, I think that's really important is you're gonna get out of it what you put into it. Right, is what you're basically saying. And to your point, like, if you would decide that this is a great solution for you to help you with your farming, we're gonna give you the names, email addresses of everyone that we predict is likely to list their home in the next 12 months. There's no reason you can't go and knock on some doors.
Yeah,
Right?
just have a reasonable,
Yeah.
well thought out approach about it.
Yeah.
Don't be creepy. Here's what you don't want to do. I'm a real estate agent. SmartZip told me that you were going to sell your home.
Yeah, don't do that.
You'd be surprised how often that happens.
I was gonna, the one thing I was gonna say, man, with the price of gas, we're definitely gonna help them, spend their gas, use their gas efficiently with only going to the people that are likely to sell.
Yeah.
So, another thing too. So look, a couple of things. I think the biggest thing right here is, look, if you're looking for a way of growing your listing pipeline, there's probably no other, like in my mind, nothing more effective than this solution, right? Because it's going to be targeted at the right people that are, like, look, if someone can come to you and say, hey, I guarantee, I always use the gambling odds, right? Say, hey, you know what, Keith, if you put your money on black, I know it's going to hit, 35% of the time. I can use that, right? And I think
Yep.
that's kind of like the same thing. It's like, look, there's a lot of, I hate to say it, I see it all the time and I'm not, there's a lot of inefficient marketing spend going on in the industry, right? Because it's you're marketing, but you're not marketing to the right people, right? And I think this is like super important that, one, we all want to grow our listing pipeline, right? I'm pretty sure no one on this call is saying, no, gosh, I don't want more listings, right? Because all I hear right now is I don't want more buyers, right? But also just being able to do it in the most effective way that's going to help you reach your goals. So, the best thing I can say is, like, spend less time, waste less money on people that aren't going to transact, right? And so in closing, I want to open this up to a Q&A. So a couple things that we are doing. So if you want to find out what this looks like in your local area, you can call that number, go to that website, or there's a couple links in the chat where you can schedule an actual one-on-one consultation, or our team of consultants will happily review it. But I want to open this up for general Q&A. It can be about just general farming strategy, anything about the smart targeting solution. We got Robert and Kelly here, so I appreciate them taking time. Yeah, so if apologize for all our top producer customers in Canada. Unfortunately, this is not available in Canada, and it's not because we don't want it to be available. It's just the data is so important here, and that data is just not available in Canada.
Yeah, we
we're
want
aware
to
of
very
it.
badly.
We're trying.
Yeah,
we want to. Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, yeah. So not available in Canada, but again, I think in Canada, look, I see, the biggest thing I see is consistency, right? And I mentioned my own, like, I moved into this new neighborhood a year ago. There's one agent where I pretty much get some piece of direct mail from him every month, right? And it works. So it just might be a little bit different. Someone asked, Robert, do you know anyone in Canada? I just don't know if it's even possible. Definitely the data situation. I think the data, I know for a fact, just the way Canada privacy and law is, that the data is a lot more, there's a lot less.
Yeah, no, I think mainly the solutions I see available in Canada are, typical online ad campaigns, whether it's on Facebook or Google. I haven't really found a data-driven, analytics and direct mail oriented company yet.
Yeah, I mean, still search probates. You do your divorce list. You can do like, a lot of the equity searches, talk to your lenders, title companies. A lot of times they have lists as well, people that they might recommend to speak with. But whether regards how you find the list, I'd still recommend the strategy for marketing to them, the monthly mail, the online ads, kind of that multi-tiered approach.
Yep.
All right, what other questions we got? Wow, we're on time. I said to Robert and Kelly that I promised this will go 45 minutes and it's 10:40. So we got 5 minutes here. Any other questions about the solution or farming in general? You can ask it here. I guess I got one question for you, Robert. I'm going to ask, and you talked about the big data and we talked about all these data points, right? When you kind of think about, what would you say are like the top 3 signals for someone that might be looking to getting ready to sell? When you look at, because obviously you guys look at 2,000 data points, you've been doing this for, 13 years. Is there something that like sticks out to you? It's like, man, these are like the highest like signals that, when someone's getting ready to sell, when you look at all the people that did transact.
Yeah. So I think and we kind of review this and the features
Yeah.
or the signals vary because as we know, real estate's hyper local. But typically it ends up being duration of time in home, some sort of distress signal, whether they, have one of 5 different types of liens against the property, or they're in the pre-foreclosure state and haven't, yet gone to auction, or just a tremendous amount of equity buildup, right? And then they're looking to kind of realize that, take some chips off the table and put it in a different nest egg.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, look, I don't see any other questions. I'm just going to double check. There is a couple of links posted there. First off, I just want to say, Robert and Kelly, first off, thank you for joining. I am super excited to partner with SmartZip on this. Really excited to bringing this value to our customer base at Top Producer, and looking forward to the next steps here.
Yeah, thanks for hosting this, Keith. It's been really great, and we'd love nothing more than to help Top Producer agents be more successful and help them grow their listing pipeline and ultimately their commission.
That's right. That is the end goal. So thank you everyone for joining today. We really appreciate it. I hope you got some value out of this. If you want to learn more about the solutions that we talked about today, there's phone numbers, links, everything in the chat. And I wish everyone a great rest of their week. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.